Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Welcome to
Twinema.
Hello everyone.
I'm Evil Dave.
I'm Evil Tom.
Yeah, and I don't like to binge watch 90s thrillers. I
no,
don't like
absolutely
that.
not. You know what? We were just talking about that. Your least favorite thing on the planet, are 90s legal thrillers.
It's true.
You can't stand them. You hate them.
I hate them.
If you have to watch more than 3 minutes, you just start pulling at your eyelids.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Trying to chew them off.
I can't stand it. Folks, we're in episode 2 of Evil Twinema, brought to you by Mad Mo Balla.
Woo!
A Patreon from your dimension.
Yeah, no,
we're of course not from your dimension.
His support has fractured the fabric between our two universes,
or something.
Yeah, and has allowed us to cross over into your realm.
How's your evil night going, Tom?
Pretty evil.
Yeah,
pretty evil. I am pleased with the level of evilness.
Good.
Currently at work in my evening.
Good. Yeah, I just watched the debates. It was very dignified.
Yeah, same.
Subdued. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who I would vote for.
Right.
Were I bound by the laws of this dimension.
They're both just so good, you know?
They're both so good and well-spoken, cogent, young men.
Young, vital men.
Young, vital men who represent the majority of the population of not only this country, but of this planet, planet Earth in your dimension.
Brimming with spunk. So spunky.
So vibrant.
If people haven't watched the original, the first Evil Twinema, this is just, look, we're just here to discuss movies, you know? We broke into this dimension. We don't get to be heard much, you know? And our dimension podcasts aren't really a thing.
No,
you know?
no, everybody hates them.
Yeah, they're all touch casts. You touch them, it's fucking wild. But
you just run up to people and shout at them in the street as fast as you can, and that's a podcast. It's a touch cast. Yeah,
touchcast. So we're using this opportunity to voice some of our opinions about movies and analyze movies from our Evil Twin universe. You get the bit. Last time we talked about Jurassic Park and how it's garbage.
Yeah.
And today, Tom, Evil Tom, sorry, I didn't address you by your full name. You have something you want to talk to us about? I do,
but I'm making a note real quick here that I have to rip one of your toes off for not calling me by my full evil moniker.
That's fine. I'll be down to 3 toes.
Yeah, no, it's the you know what? It's the standard punishment in our dimension. I don't know what you guys do here, but that's what we do. And you know what? It keeps the problem from happening a lot.
Yeah.
Nobody forgets your name in our dimension.
It's true.
Not if they want to keep their balance.
No, you can use the toes you've torn off of other people to tape on your own feet.
No, it's a sign. It's a sign of status to wear a necklace of toes to show people how difficult and challenging your name is to remember.
Yeah, that's true. If you're covered in toes, you know that's a hard to remember name.
Some people have entire cloaks made of them.
Yeah, a toe cloak. It's pretty gnarly, kind of heavy.
Yeah.
You know.
And let me tell you, when one of those motherfuckers comes running up to you for a touch cast, you better just get out of the way.
Yeah, you don't want to
involve yourself with any sort of discussion there. Yeah. Because odds are you're going to forget their impossible name, and then your toe will become part of the cloak tapestry.
Right.
Nobody wants that.
This is all truth.
Okay, so the movie I have brought to discuss, it's a movie trilogy. It's a little obscure because it didn't really find success, at least not in our dimension. I don't know how it fared here. In the realm where nobody wears any toes at all.
Right.
Don't know what that's about. But yeah, no, it was in 1985. It was a sci-fi a comedy was released called Back to the Future.
Oh.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, those
I don't know
things.
if you guys remember those movies.
Yeah. I mean, they were right around the time of the bigger hits like Solar Babies or Theodore Rex.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were doing like kind of high concept movies.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite work out for them.
No, well, it's like Solar Babies and Theodore Rex, both took off to have their own expanded universes, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with.
Yeah.
Back to the Future kind of dwindled in obscurity and had 2 direct-to-video sequels released in 89 and 90, and then kind of nobody talks about it anymore outside of it has a bit of a cult following. You'll hear about
like
it
an
sometimes.
ironic cult following.
Yeah, yeah. You'll hear about it sometimes in a touchcast when somebody comes running up to you and screams about it into your face. But other than that,
Yeah.
Back to the Future doesn't really enter the popular discourse. And I have a theory as to why.
Okay.
The thing about the Back to the Future series that is fundamentally broken.
Okay. You hit me with it.
Yeah.
Hit me
No,
with it.
yeah, no. You
lay
want
it
to
on
hear
me,
the rest
man.
of this touchcast.
Yeah, I want to hear the rest of this touchcast. Touch me
Were
with
you
it.
and I on the street and you were intimidated by my wreath of toes, you would still be frozen in place because my opening pitch here, my opening salvo is so captivating.
I want to. Yeah, it's like that that show on that Tobeans Touchcast, our sister network.
Yeah.
Tobeans. They do like a director piece thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar. It sounds like similar to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Back to the Future, if you guys, it's odds are you don't remember, so I'm going to jog your memory real quick. It's about a high school student named Marty McFly. He's trying to be a rock star. He's trying to impress his girlfriend. He's trying to buy a Jeep, but he just can't because his parents are such kind of losers. Like his dad's a dork that gets pushed around by his boss Biff. His mom's kind of a drunk. He's got one uncle in prison. His older brother works at Burger King. His sister's kind of a nothing. Like he's trapped in like unremarkable suburbia, right? And he's pals with this scientist, this crackpot scientist named Doc Brown.
Sorry, just so we're clear, like this is all. It's the fault of his lineage, right?
Yes.
That they're in that condition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, it's a series of choices that his parents
nothing
made.
Nothing happened to them.
Oh no. It's both their lineage, their birthright, and the fact that his parents were just lacking in character, and they imprinted that lack of character on their useless children.
Got it.
So now they're all adrift without a future. They're just going to be a burden on society. So he befriends this crackpot scientist named Doc Brown, who makes a time machine out of a sports car, the DeLorean, and he travels back to 1955.
Very popular.
Yeah,
car.
it was the first. It's like the Model T of the DeLoreans.
Yeah.
You guys know the first DeLorean. Yeah, it was the car that spawned an empire. I mean, he's currently, I don't know, he's been president 3 times in our dimension. I don't know how he's
and we
fared.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we rewrote the Constitution again. Like we retracted the original amendment that allowed William Howard Taft to be president 8 times.
Right.
We used to limit it to 2, but now we limit it to 4.
Right.
Because of John DeLorean.
Yes.
So he goes back to 1955. He finds his parents. They're the same louses that they are in 1985. But he intervenes using his knowledge, his precognition of the future.
This science, this like sort of I don't know. I don't remember the movie, but I want to say it's like an abomination.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm getting to. I'm glad you've picked that up.
Okay.
He uses this unholy advantage that he has with his foreknowledge of the future to change the events of the past, to make his life and the lives of his parents and his siblings better in the future by poisoning them with his foreknowledge of the future, thanks to Doc Brown and his crackpot time machine. So he returns back to 1985, having intervened in a whole mess of stuff. And in the future now, Biff is now subservient to his father and washes his car and wears a jogging suit all day.
Biff is the dominant man established at the beginning, right?
Correct. He is George McFly's boss, and deservedly so. He's much larger. He's more assertive.
Yeah, he gets things done.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy you could sit down and have a beer with.
Right.
But he gets things done, and that's why he's a winner. But Marty uses his foreknowledge of the future to subvert the natural order and elevate his father and his own lowly social standing to be beyond that of Biff's. And the movie treats this like this is supposed to be a victory, like it's supposed to be a good thing.
Right.
And I think this is why audiences fundamentally rejected Back to the Future and its two sequels.
Okay, well, hold on. To be fair, because they break the natural order of things, doesn't time punish Marty's kids?
It does, yeah. There are ripple
lineage
effects.
I guess it's to show that, like, it doesn't matter what he does. They're always losers.
It's in his blood.
They're destined. It's in their blood.
It's in their blood.
Right. Because I remember the sequel a little bit more than the original. Because they get better. The movies get better.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Which is strange because they're both direct-to-video releases.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I remember in the sequel, Biff, briefly reclaims his birthright by also because he has no choice. Like it's true. Like using time travel, that's going to disrupt the natural order of things. But since Marty has already done that, Biff has to do it as well.
All Biff is doing is repairing God's plan.
He's repairing the timeline.
Yeah, he's repairing God's plan.
Right. Because they disrupt the timeline, and then Doc has the gall to act like Biff disrupted the timeline, when in reality, they're the ones who did it.
Mm-hmm. And they did it only for their personal gain. There are several things in the course of their history that could have been, quote-unquote, righted by the use of a time machine. They could have prevented the attacks on Pearl Harbor. They could have prevented the assassination of John F. Kennedy. They could have prevented 9/11.
Right.
In their reality.
Right, because our 9/11 was great.
Our 9/11 is like Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, we had a great one here.
Yeah. You know,
you guys got it all wrong.
You guys got it all wrong. Like you guys have it reversed. We have never forget Cinco de Mayo bumper stickers.
Yes. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Mexican restaurants are outlawed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I do think that's like they want us to like Marty in the first one. Like it's like the movies try to go back and fix it. But even the second one, Marty ultimately defeats Biff again.
He's cheating fate. He's cheating destiny. He's cheating our Lord Christ, and he's cheating the superior man, the guy with the superior bloodline and the superior will and makeup to dominate. And
using the devil's technology.
Exactly.
There's no question that Doc Brown is an evil character. He hangs out with a high schooler. He lives in a garage. He's failed.
Mm-hmm. He lives in a garage next to a Burger King.
Yeah. I think he burnt down his mansion for the insurance.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And he's used his entire life to build a time machine. To build this machine that all it does is just go against God's plan, like you said.
Yeah.
And he doesn't use it for anything.
No, just for himself.
Just for his own personal gain.
Well, listen, that's his guiding star. That's his only motivation is he wants revenge on the natural order.
Yeah. He also does it by working with terrorists, with Libyans.
Yes.
And promising to make them a bomb. Like he is wildly reckless. Mm-hmm. Kind of a maniac.
And in the beginning
this high schooler, he's asking, like he has the Libyans after him, and he asked this high schooler to meet him at 1 a.m. that night. Like that's fucked up. So like
when he knows the Libyans are going to be there because he made them a bomb built of old useless pinball parts.
Right. So I guess what you expect in the first one is to Marty to like reject Doc by the end, to learn that he shouldn't meddle with time, and go back and repair his original timeline, accept the hand that fate was given to him.
And then go work for Biff.
Yeah.
And your life will be enriched. Let Doc remain dead. He was supposed to be dead. He
That was
is
God's plan.
the
Yeah,
victim
you're right.
of his own decisions. He is shot to death by the Libyans.
Yeah.
And that is where he was supposed to end.
Right. In a way, Doc is like, he's like a haunted, he's seen death. Mm-hmm. He's been to oblivion and back. Like, he's been unmade.
He's been on the
and
other
brought
side
back.
of the veil, yes.
And he was supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That was the consequence of his actions. God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
He's a renegade spirit. It's the reason, I fully believe the reason we didn't glom on to this film is because it's so upsetting.
Right, and you might not even notice because the score is great.
It's so subversive, and the score is excellent, yes.
Yeah. And so, like, you watch it, and you don't know why you feel sad. You're not entirely sure why you feel empty and sad.
You just feel this powerful sadness and this sense of injustice, this really nagging sense of injustice.
Right. Because, like, they're not good people. Because, like, okay, if they're so upset that Biff is so domineering. All they do is they turn him into, like, a house pet. Mm-hmm. And it's very disturbing, you know? That he's like, his lineage has been broken down much.
Such a bright, brilliant light has been snuffed out, has been diminished.
Right.
Smothered by a tracksuit.
Yeah, that tracksuit, man.
Mm-hmm. It's the ultimate indignity. He's washing their car while wearing a tracksuit. I mean, come on.
It's sad. It's very sad.
The symbolism couldn't be more clear.
And, like, okay, so it's only the first movie. So, like, you know, in that like really cheesy Lord of the Ring film, they like, you know, like there's an adventure to be had. They do it in steps. So you assume, because this does, in fairness, Back to the Future 1 ends with to be continued. And Doc saying it's your kids. There's something you got to do something about your kids. So we're seeing that there is like a cosmic justice happening.
Well, there's
Marty.
also a little bit, but there's also still that element of Doc thumbing his nose at not only our Lord Christ and not only the natural order, but also just his fellow man, because we see him show up back in 1985. With this device, this Mr. Fusion, that can create fusion energy out of trash, and he doesn't share it with the rest of the world.
No, he doesn't.
He could change he could prevent the rest of the dismal 80s. He could avert so many wars and conflicts and energy crises and stretches of famine by introducing this essentially endless energy resource. But he doesn't do it because all he wants to do is make sure that Marty's dumb kid doesn't get arrested in 30 years.
Yes. And I guess what I'm saying is that stuff like that, showing that Doc is a villain, since it's to be continued, you could argue that, okay, maybe they were going to pick up that thread and continue with it and show Marty defeat Doc, who's been... Because, you know, Marty is... How old is Marty? He's a teenager.
He's 16 or 17, yeah, I think.
Yeah. So he's not completely responsible for his
No,
actions.
not at all. He's being corrupted by this poisonous old man.
Yeah.
This gargoyle.
Absolute gargoyle. They hint at it, like when he rips off his own face to show the same face under.
Yeah.
Like little hints of how sinister he is. But so you think Back to the Future 2 might be addressing that.
Right. It might be more of a window into Doc's madness and Marty trying to reconcile with that while also reconciling with the awesome destructive power of this time-traveling DeLorean.
Right. And it kind of starts that way. And, like, I don't know, maybe they meant it to be a very dark series where, like, so it begins with, like, a return to normalcy where Biff righting the wrongs of time.
Right, where they go to an alternate. Old Biff rights the wrongs. Marty goes back to would arguably is supposed to be the correct 1985, where Biff rules.
Right.
He's the complete lord of everything over this mighty fiefdom.
Right. I mean, he overcorrected a little, but like it's
little,
definitely
but
in the,
like
it's, if anything, he's just advanced humanity a
exactly,
little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's clearing out the outlying suburbs where people were just getting so separated,
Right.
and so compartmentalized, and brings them all back under his own, his own lordship. Like I said, his own fiefdom.
He's boosting the economy of Hill Valley.
Exactly.
Because like when we first see Hill Valley, there's people on the streets like begging people to save the clock tower and shit like that. Like no one has their shit together. Mm-hmm. The high school's run down, and then we see that he not only saved the clock tower, he turned it into a beautiful casino and hotel.
Yeah.
So he's like, I've never seen, you don't see Hill Valley more active than in Biff's future.
This is accurate. Yeah, it's bustling. It's
like Burning Man.
Yeah, it's like Burning Man. It's Burning Man.
Yeah, pretty rad. Everybody is practicing their Second Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and as it was meant to be. Everybody is responsible for their own defense and their own protection.
Right. And so yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that you show like they show the promise of progress, and you're not entirely sure what the movie's about, and you could argue that Back to the Future 2 is almost like a tragedy, where it's about
the fall of a mighty king.
Yeah, we watch Marty continue to go along with things with Doc.
Yeah, continue to make the wrong decision.
Like, he's been shown clearly that time has punished his family lineage, which are destined to be losers.
Yeah.
And then he never like...
No, right. His response is, I'm going to smash it more.
Yeah, he goes back in time again, and he steals the book from Biff. He burns it so no one gets an advantage all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then we get the third movie.
Where was your concern about advantages before, Marty?
Right.
You didn't try to burn that time machine, did you?
Right, and at its core, it's about how the time machine is evil.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
The time machine is a Faustian bargain.
Yes. And the weird thing is that, like, by the third one, Doc seems to know this. Doc seems more like, it's just so weird to try to figure out where they're going by the third one, because Doc seems way more on board with destroying the time machine.
He gets stranded in the past, and he's sort of like chill with it. Like, he's like, I feel like maybe this is where I was meant to be. Right.
He's like Hitler in Argentina. He's like I've done what I can. And now I'm just gonna relax back in time, having sufficiently fucked everything up.
Exactly.
Because what does he care? He's in the past.
Exactly. The rest is up to history, but to him, that history is the future. So he doesn't have to deal with any of the consequences. That's why he's so content to be caught in the Wild West. He's like, well, fuck it.
Yeah,
I don't have to deal with any of the ripples of my actions because I'm stuck 100 years in the past.
Yep. And then we learn that because he's a grifter, he sees justice back in the West when he's shot for a matter of $80.
Mm-hmm. Look, he swindled 80. That's a lot of money back then.
That's a lot of money, yeah. And so Marty goes back in time, and so it's like it's once more into the abyss. Mm-hmm. And you think that maybe this time around Marty's going to, I don't know, learn something.
Yeah, learn that you shouldn't mess around with the fabric of the universe. You shouldn't interfere with God's plan.
Yeah, I guess this is where the series loses me. Because, like, up until this point, it's kind of like the movie The Devil All the Time or something like that, where you see this kind of tragic character, and he's just kind of, I don't know, being manipulated, and kind of, he's so angry and he's being forced into this dark path.
Yeah.
And you're hoping for some sort of redemption, at least. Like, at this point that you're watching a tragic tale.
Right.
But they don't do that. They do this whole convoluted plot with the what is it, a train in the third one?
Oh, he makes a time train, yeah.
Oh, the time train. No, I meant like they have to use the train.
They have to use a train to get the time machine up to 88 miles per hour because they can't fuel its nuclear reactor. But they interfere with time and the laws of nature and God's plan again to save this school teacher from getting driven off the edge of a cliff.
Well, here's what's amazing about that.
Mm-hmm.
is God wanted her dead.
Yes.
Right?
She was meant to die.
And they even say it. They even say like, "Oh, we altered time." And then they go ahead and hijack a train.
Yeah.
Which you can't tell me that doesn't also alter time.
Of course it does.
They alter the lives of so many people after scolding themselves. Like, what if someone on that train was going to go kill somebody else and can't now because he's late?
Or
Then
what if
that
they were
person's
going to
left alive.
deliver some life-saving medicine and now they can't?
Right. Or what if they're going to meet the person they're going to marry and have a kid? And that kid turned out to be fucking the great-grandfather of John F. Kennedy or whatever. You know, like it's they're so irresponsible. And you're watching it all unfold. And it's almost comedic, but the movie doesn't treat it like it's like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And they hijack this train. They use it for their personal use again. I mean, he also has we haven't even talked about Mad Dog Tannen, who's just trying to keep the peace in the town.
Listen, he's just trying to stick up for people who are too timid and meek to speak up for themselves. And Doc doesn't appreciate that because Doc thinks, for some reason, he's above being told what to do, which is the reason this whole debacle got started in the first place.
Yeah, he's once again twisting. It's just like the Libyans. He ripped people off for money.
Exactly. And now he doesn't
thinks he's
feel like
superior
he
to
should
them.
see the consequences of those actions, which is you're gonna get shot.
Right. What did he expect?
Yeah. They're gonna shoot you.
Yeah, man.
And then, the time train. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking
The time train is egregious. First of all, Doc is like, you should destroy the time machine or whatever. I should have never built it. It gets destroyed, saving Marty from getting into an accident that he was supposed to get into because of his pride. He doesn't actually.
That's. I think I want to talk about that.
Okay.
In a second. Let's finish the thought, I guess.
On the time train.
On the time train.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the time machine is destroyed, not really on purpose. But then Doc immediately shows up in this convoluted fucking H.G. Wellsian time train palace he's built for himself and his weird abomination family that shouldn't exist.
That should not exist.
They should not exist. These are demons for all intents and purposes. This woman was supposed to not exist. He was supposed to have been shot to death in 1985, but for some reason, he's engineered it. He has so fractured the universe that he now has a wife and 2 goblin children in the 1880s, and now they're zipping through the time stream in a friggin' train doing God knows what. We don't know how badly he has dismantled reality and history just for his own personal gain, because that's all he ever uses time travel for, is for his own personal gain.
And he learned nothing.
He
nothing. He literally was like, I should have destroyed the time machine. And then he's just like, time train, motherfuckers!
It's like, okay,
shows up
I
with
shouldn't
his
have destroyed. I should have
village
destroyed
of the damned kids.
Right. His apparently the second half of that thought was, I should have destroyed the time machine and made a fucking time train, baby.
Marty asks him. He says, "Where are you going, Doc? The future?" And he goes, "Nope, already been there." And then leave. And if I was Marty, I'd be like, What
did you
fuck
do?
Did he mean that by that?
What did you do?
Where are you going, Doc? You're bringing the flying train, the screeching flying train, into the past? Is that what we are to believe?
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ, that's horrifying. What a nightmare. Yeah, Doc, it's not inconspicuous. It's a flying train.
It's a flying time train.
Where the fuck could he possibly go that isn't the future?
Even in the future, I feel like that would be conspicuous.
Right, but at least less conspicuous than in the past. He specifically goes the direction that's... Oh, man. That is dark. That is a dark ending.
It is.
What I wanted to talk about with Marty is I think what you're getting at, Tom, Evil Tom. Damn it, I owe you a toe.
You owe me another toe, bro.
You're
gonna be out of toes soon,
to so
Evil
little
Dave.
toes. Yeah. Is that these movies are all about people not accepting the consequences of their decisions
and not accepting fate and not accepting reality.
Yeah, because that's one of the Marty's arc is similar to his dad's arc, because his dad, he's a loser, and he doesn't, like he lucks into, because he's masturbating in a tree, he lucks into meeting a woman who's takes pity on him and starting a family.
Yeah.
He's like a bug. He's like an insect masturbating in a tree. That's his fate.
Yeah.
And then Marty is also a loser. We learn that he races someone because they call him Chicken.
Yeah.
Which, grow the fuck up, Marty.
Yeah.
Like, Chicken, really?
He flies into a blind, uncontrollable rage when people call him Chicken.
That's insane.
That's out of control. You would laugh at that insult. You'd be like, you called me a chicken? Like,
who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? And also, he needs to face facts. He's just too darn loud.
Yeah, he's way too darn loud.
He's never going to be a rock star because he's too darn loud.
Well, the movie does this thing with that where he plays a cover of The Power of Love, and it's a bad cover. And then we know that because the good version of the song's in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't do that. I mean, he steals rock and roll from black people too.
He sure does.
That's a big no-no.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Again, it's all part of the same thing. Is that
he's unwilling to accept his station.
Well, he goes back in time and he appropriates rock and roll.
He sure does.
Using just his knowledge of the song. Like, that's fucked up. And that sums up Marty, is that he's going back in time and giving himself an unfair advantage. He doesn't care who he hurts.
No, he's a grasper.
Yeah. And like, he's hitting the Rolls Royce is like, that's another mistake he was destined to learn from. And he doesn't do that.
So he will not learn that
knowledge.
Lesson.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, is the movies are all about these characters using time travel to cut corners and then not learning their lesson because of that.
Right, because all they do is avoid the consequences of the same decisions they would make.
Right, and because of that, Doc doesn't learn the ultimate lesson, which is don't mess with time travel, and goes ahead and makes a big fucking electric train in the sky.
Yeah. He makes the most conspicuous fucking chariot of the gods he can come up with. So any time period he travels to, he is going to fuck beyond recognition just by his presence.
It's a dark, dark timeline.
It is. I mean, there's no way like all of reality doesn't just collapse in on itself in the Back to the Future universe.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't just ram your way through time in a goddamn fucking space train,
so your
and
theory
not bring
is
a whole kit and caboodle down around you.
Right. So your theory is that everybody kind of sensed this, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think people
like
picked up on how grim it was and how apocalyptic and how just against. It's just anti-spiritual. It's against the established rules of our society. It's
that weird mix of like presenting something for kids, like it's supposed to be for kids, but it's also oddly dark, and it doesn't work like a more successful film like Howard the Duck.
Exactly.
Like it's too dark and weird and adult, but also kind of kiddie, and like a really twisted message at the same time.
Yeah, no, it really missed the mark of a true classic like Howard the Duck or like Mac and Me or
Garbage Pail Kids.
The Garbage Pail Kids, of course.
Yeah.
Willow.
All fantastic movies.
It's all of It
spawned
really
many sequels.
It missed that mark so bad.
Yeah.
Just by a margin the size of a flying time train.
Right. Yeah. It's a real dick in the eye of God.
Mm-hmm. It's really pissing in God's face, man.
Yeah.
And I figure it's only like right after that the time train zips off to Lord knows what they're going to do. I feel like the wrath of God is just going to come down really hard and just hit the reset button.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what
100%.
happens when we fade to black at the end of Back to the Future 3, because that's all that can happen at this point.
Yeah, when it says the end, it means the end.
It means the end. That's why it fades to black. That's an existential blackness.
Right. They've blinked out of existence.
The genie's out of the bottle, and Doc is just gonna keep zipping through time, plowing through the pillars that are holding up existence with its time train. Until the Lord comes down from his palace in the center of the cosmos and shoves Doc down into hell where he belongs.
Right, and resets everything, and we
Yeah.
have to kill Jesus again. Thanks, Doc. Thanks for that. As if Jesus didn't already have it. Like, bad, he has to get killed again.
No, Dave. We get to kill Jesus again.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. That's true.
I think, yeah. Yeah. You said it. You said it.
It's a lot to take in for these films.
Yeah, it's a lot to sit and think
and
about.
if you watch them through, you'll see this.
It's all right there. It's not subtext at all.
Exactly. We're not making any of the events up here. This is what happens in these movies. Doc ends in a giant train after condemning time travel.
Yeah.
Like, that's very disturbing.
Also, a really unnecessary jab at Jaws 19, I must say.
Yeah, that was a great one. That was a great Jaws.
It's a great Jaws. How dare you? Back to the Future 2.
Also, he leaves his girlfriend on a porch. It just seemed fucking like they really do her dirty. They knock her out, and then they leave her on a fucking porch.
Right
for the rest of the series.
after bringing her with them on an adventure.
Right? Why did Doc's
like,
no,
she's
her too.
Concerns her too, and then immediately knocks her unconscious.
Yeah, and is like, no chicks, Marty. It's just you and me. It's Doc the grifter. He'll say whatever he can in the moment to get Marty to come with
whatever
him or
he needs
agree
to say.
him. Yeah. Also, why does he have the gizmo that knocks her out?
That's an even darker question, man.
Yeah.
He's carrying that fucking thing through time with him.
Yeah. What is he doing with it? It's he is a twisted man. Twisted man, Doc Brown. I don't know. Thanks for bringing this to my attention, Tom.
Sure, man. No, I wouldn't necessarily encourage you to watch Back to the Future again, but man, if you watch it with this in mind, you can really see why this was such an extreme failure. Such a misguided attempt to bring science fiction and fantasy into the hearts of children.
Right. I mean, I think the best thing is the music. There's the Huey Lewis song, which is fine, but it really gets going with the ZZ Top song, Double Back. Mm-hmm. We all love that song.
Yeah, of course. Multiple Grammy winner. It's played at everyone's proms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a top 5 pick for people's first dance at their weddings.
Yeah, usually, I mean, I don't know how it is in everybody's dimension listening to this, but it's tradition to play Double Back at least 3 times in a row.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you have to double back.
So you got to double back.
So you got to play it twice, and then once you're done with the second time, you're like, well, I got to listen to it a third time.
Yeah, just to like really feel it. Mm-hmm. Because the first 2 times you're too busy doing the double back dance, and so like usually in the third, everybody just sort of takes it in at that point.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You guys know this. I mean, there's YouTube tutorials about it. You guys know this.
The double back dance, yeah. All right, I think that's it.
I think, yeah.
Right?
I feel like I've made my point very firmly.
I want to thank Mad Mobala.
Yeah, thank you for creating this tear in the fabric of reality that allowed us to slip through and give you guys a touch cast on Back to the Future.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed us reaching out and touching you with our mouths. I guess that's how the podcast works.
Our words and our spittle. I assume you guys have some sort of device that, because I am spraying every word. I hope you guys are getting that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You should be coded in my DNA by now.
Right. There should be it looks like a speaker, but it's moist. Mm-hmm. It spritzes out.
It looks like a speaker, but also an orifice. That's what we tend to listen. It's
fleshy.
Yeah, it's extremely fleshy. That's what we listen to all of our media on.
Yeah. So I hope you got your sufficient amount of our spittle. I know non-evil Tom and Dave were, I guess, upset that we didn't plug our Patreon or their Patreon. Sorry, last time. Well, that's patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. we evil David Tom have. I think it was an Indiegogo. Was that the bit, Tom?
I think so. I think that was the bit.
We have an Indiegogo. We'll if you give us a certain amount of money, you will get cups of our spit. Mm-hmm. They won't be covered. They'll just be loose cups of our spit that we'll put into a box. Mm-hmm. And if that spills out and it's just a moist box, that's not our fault.
And you still got the box. So what are you mad about?
Yeah, you got our moist box, and that's
you got our you got our mouth sweat cardboard. What else did you expect out of this?
Yeah, smell it. Really stick your nose in it and take a whiff.
These worthless humans, Tom and Dave, also have a store, tpublic.com/stores/gamefullyunemployed. I don't know what the fuck you can buy there. I guess probably cups of their spit, right? Unless their things are totally ass backwards in this universe.
There's got to be spit cups,
right? This spit is involved in
spit cups.
Something.
Yeah, and check out our live journals.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. Follow me on LiveJournal, of course.
Yeah. We have great live journals.
The freshest, hottest updates from me on my LiveJournal.
Yeah, mine is filled with poetry. So check that out.
Of course, yeah. Poetry is the currency of our universe. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah, it's the only way. It's the only currency. Like it's fucking and confusing. To be honest, I'm not a fan of it, but that's what it is.
It's what we do. It's from what I can tell, it's the equivalent of your TikTok.
Right.
Is our
But we use it to buy
poetry.
like groceries. Groceries, go to movies, you have to give them poetry. Mm-hmm. Everybody writes and gives each other poetry on slips of paper. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you recite it to each other.
Yeah. It's cred.
Yeah. It's again, it's time consuming. Every interaction takes about, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the type of poetry.
But it's valuable.
Sure. It's valuable.
Yeah, it's extremely valuable. We need to get out of here. The time stream is closing.
Okay.
Yeah.